Was it just a coincidence that Code was revealed hiding behind the bug tree right when Boruto was about to return Mamushi's Togadama to that tree? Does Amato knowing about Jippo's ability mean he's already aware of Koji's existence? And most importantly, why is Sarada the cover of this chapter when the main focus is actually on Inojin? Is it all just coincidence, or is there a deeper reason behind it? Yeah, chapter 33 dropped about 10 days ago. But honestly, in every chapter that comes out, we're always given little bits of mystery or things left hanging with big question marks that keep us curious, right? And so far, those are at least 3 really interesting questions. I mean, really interesting to break down in the next few minutes. But before that, I'm Nim without the E. Help me get this video to 100 likes or 10K hype points to fix my algorithm. And once again, thanks a lot, guys. So yeah, let's start with Code. After waiting over a year for confirmation of his whereabouts and what he'd do next, especially after his previous hideout was exposed by Ryu and ended with him losing an arm, he's now revealed his new hideout behind the bug tree. But the question is, has he just been hiding there all this time, or has he actually been hiding behind every claw mark that's ever existed in Konoha or elsewhere? Yeah, you know what I mean, right? And if we think about it, this might be just a minor detail or perhaps something we hadn't considered before. But if we look at the context of Code's appearance, having been hidden for quite some time and revealing that he was behind that claw mark, I think it's no coincidence that he was there, especially when Boruto wanted to return the Togadama. He was there because all this time he's really been observing and waiting for the right moment. But does he really have to just hide? I mean, isn't he doing anything else? And what about his arm? Has he done anything to restore or regenerate the lost arm, or will it just be left disabled? But at the very least, regardless of what we're seeing right now, the most important part, our prediction and analysis so far, is about Code. We predicted that he would return to Kara's base to find something he could use. Or simply put, he's looking for a way to become stronger or maybe even regenerate his lost arm. Yeah, that's basically how it is. And still in this case, his current appearance pattern actually shows that he's playing a much more patient and structured game. His appearance right at the moment Boruto was about to return Mamushi's Togadama was too precise, meaning this isn't a coincidence, but an indication that he's been observing from afar and waiting for a specific timing. What's interesting is that there's a high likelihood Code hasn't just been hiding in one place all this time. With his claw mark ability, he could theoretically appear at multiple points as long as those claw marks are still there. Not in full physical form, but enough to keep watch. So it makes sense that all this time he's been aware of Konoha's movements or even the situations unfolding within it, especially Boruto's situation. He might even have known when that crucial moment was going to happen. Because if you still remember when Code first invaded Konoha, the claw marks scattered across the backs of Konoha's citizens and in various locations make it seem reasonable that he has been aware of everything all along, simply waiting for the right moment. So what's the point of all this, if in fact, Code has been observing everything while appearing at the perfect time? There's one point I find quite interesting. If it's true that Code has been missing since the beginning, then there's a worst-case possibility for Kashin Koji himself. And just as a disclaimer, I'm not concluding whether Code is stronger than Koji or vice versa. But at the very least, we have to remember this. Code has a mission to kill Boruto and his accomplices who have learned a lot of information about the Divine Tree humans, or Shinju, and several secrets that even Jura himself considers a serious threat. And even though we know that Koji is currently in a hideout that can't even be easily found, it doesn't rule out the possibility that Koji's hideout will be exposed. And honestly, this is just a wild assumption, but it's interesting enough for us to consider. What if, while Konoha was fighting Mamushi, Code noticed a movement from Inojin? I mean, from a place they couldn't even detect, Code was observing everything from afar. But when he saw how Inojin suddenly appeared out of nowhere, especially since there was a toad there, could it be that Code, who was once on the same team as Koji in the Kara organization, knew that the toad belonged to Koji? Meaning, my wild guess is that if Code actually knew it was Koji, he'd have a way to track him down. But whatever the outcome, that's the plot twist that would be fascinating, right? But what do you guys think? However, if we move on to another case, especially with the revelation of Koji's ability, I'm really curious about one thing. And if you've forgotten, to put it simply, Koji is Amato's creation. And every one of Amato's creations is equipped with a sort of ninja science device that allows Amato to control his cyborg creations. And even though this hasn't been directly confirmed, at least Kawaki and Delta are clear examples of this. Kawaki, who has been modified by Amato, allows him to see everything happening through Kawaki's eyes. Basically, Kawaki's eyes are like a walking CCTV right now. On top of that, Amato also created a command that can put Kawaki to sleep just by saying shut down. And yeah, there's also a failsafe that Amato uses for Delta. But what still hasn't been revealed until now are Daemon, Aida, and Koji. Since this case is about Koji, let's set Daemon and Aida aside for now. Regardless of what might happen if Amato finds out that Koji is still alive and even possesses the Jippo ability, he actually has no problem with Koji, unlike his relationships with Code or even Aida. Yeah, you know what I mean? The point is, when in this chapter Amato accidentally learns about Koji's ability through a conversation between Koji and Inojin, based on my personal analysis, Amato doesn't fully know yet that Koji is still alive. What actually happened was more of an initial trigger, not full confirmation. I mean, Amato is the type of character who always operates on two levels, what he sees now and what he's saving for later. In other words, when he heard or learned about the Jippo ability, he likely immediately realized this wasn't an ordinary ability. But that doesn't necessarily mean he jumped straight to the conclusion that it was Koji. Why? Because if Amato truly knew Koji was still alive, his reaction should have been much more specific, and perhaps even one of shock. Because as we saw, when Amato was being interrogated in the middle of Koji's battle against Ishiki at the Kara base, the camera or projector in Amato's glasses suddenly went dark at the same time Koji was dying. Yeah, you know what that means, right? So in any case, seeing that situation, Amato had already concluded that Koji was dead. But in any case, he's not the type to just sit back and relax if one of his assets, which he thought was dead, turns out to still be active and developing beyond his control, especially since this is Koji, not just any ordinary cyborg. So the most plausible possibility is that Amato has just reached the stage where something's off, and it's related to his creation. And the interesting part, based on my analysis, is that if Amato starts investigating further, there's a probability he could regain control of Koji. Because believe it or not, Amato is always 2 steps ahead, and he always has a backup plan for everything he creates. Yeah, that's what I see, right? But what do you guys think? And as a final question, why is Sarada on the cover when the focus or main topic of the end of this invasion is inojin? And the answer is, of course, very simple. This is almost certainly no coincidence. In manga storytelling, the cover often serves as foreshadowing for something big to come, not just who's the focus of that chapter. And if Sarada is placed on the cover, there are a few possibilities. She'll be the key to the next conflict. There will be a major development in her powers, mangekyo or even beyond, or she'll be directly involved in the conflict Koji sees through his 10 Directions ability. Yeah, Hidari. But what do you guys personally think? What's the reason Ikemoto chose Sarada for the cover? Is there a connection, or is this just a coincidence? If it's not a coincidence like I explained, do you agree? Yeah, whatever your thoughts are, let's chat in the comments. If you enjoyed this, help me get this video to 100 likes and 1K hype points. I'm Nim without the E. See you in the next video. Bye bye, Data Bio.